Maverick teamed up with Gator.
Let's listen to this new Tyson James song. This came out yesterday. Good song. Everybody's doing their Charlie Kirk tribute songs. I don't know. I don't really care about a lot of them. But Tyson has been known for this. Tyson always does pertinent current event songs. Whenever an event happens, within a day, he drops a song. So he's been known for this. He's been doing this forever. So when he does it, I respect it because that's what he does. A lot of these people, though, are jumping on the make a Charlie Kirk song kind of like bandwagon. But Tyson's always done this, so this is what he does.
We are Charlie.
We are Charlie.
We are Charlie.
We are Charlie. We are Charlie.
We are Charlie. Listen, the devil ain't playing, he trying to take us down. Are you willing to speak the truth and take a round? This world is getting heavy, don't let it weigh you down. We gon' fight this battle for the Lord, ain't gonna take this ground. They think they won the war, but I don't think they know the price. Charlie died, but through his life, many come to know the Christ. Demons laugh, but Jesus coming back, and you ain't seen the half. Training with a gun, but you can't run, you'll never flee the wrath. You took out a man, but you can never kill the vision. All you people mocking better stop, won't have a pot to piss in. And this our turning point, you about to see the army. To live is Christ and die is gain. We are Charlie. A real Christian got assassinated, but I can see an army activated. And I know you demons agitated, cause you didn't kill a man, he only graduated. We are Charlie. Y'all just messed around and made an army. I can feel the shifting when you're sorry. Jesus coming back, it gon' be gnarly. We are Charlie. We are Charlie. This is a spiritual battle, you better learn to fight. You can't fight the darkness with the darkness, better turn to light. There's levels to the faith, you cannot break, you gotta earn the right. It's light versus dark, the battle's won, so let's go burn the night. Look, I don't think they really know what they just stirred up. It's God over government, get your Bible, put that word up. This revival, yo devil, now you know we on your head top. Jesus coming back for bloody making all you dead drop. So listen, don't be afraid of Satan, but you need to use the wisdom. Keep a little blinky with you, stay up on the mission. This our turning point, and you about to see the army. To live is Christ and die is gain. We are Charlie. A real Christian got assassinated, but I can see an army activated. And I know you demons agitated, cause you didn't kill a man, he only graduated. We are Charlie. Y'all just messed around and made an army. I can feel the shifting when you're sorry. Jesus coming back, it gon' be gnarly. We are Charlie. We are Charlie.
We are Charlie.
Based. I don't know about that name. So I don't know. I'm trying not to get too deep into the conspiracies yet. I'm trying to just take what they're giving us and go with it. But the questions and the skepticism is always in the back of my mind. But if this kid is the killer, which all the signs point to yes, unless there's some deeper crazy conspiracy, which that letter that came out with the full messages, it's weird. It is weird. First time I read it, I was like, makes sense. But then when you really break it down, there's a lot of weird stuff in it. But here's the thing. He wants to be a martyr too. He thinks he did something righteous. So he might just ask. I think he already has requested the life for life. I know the state is pursuing the death penalty. Now, they could later show some mercy or something. But Charlie was very pro death penalty. And the state could just be pursuing the death penalty right now so that he doesn't get a bond. Because they give him a bond, and some crazy leftist, rich leftist, some George Soros type person bonds him out, bails him out. Then he starts a GoFundMe. Who knows what could happen? So as long as they pursue the death penalty, he doesn't get a bond. They're holding him no bond, no bail. And then he wants to be a martyr. He wants to be the hero for his side. He thinks he had some righteous cause. Maybe he just, I mean, if he goes in there and says, yeah, I'm guilty, I killed him, and I want the firing squad. If he, you know what, if he wants to really send a message, that's what he'll do. I don't know if he's going to do that, but then it would be expeditious. He would get it quick. I think they might expedite it too, just because of the national scale of it. So it's gonna be quicker than, I don't think if he gets the death penalty, if he gets convicted and he gets the death penalty, I think it's gonna happen quicker rather than slower. So, and I don't think if it happens quickly, I don't think that necessarily points to conspiracy, but there's a bunch of questions. Thank you, Marilyn.
I've been broke my whole life. Now money right.
All right, guys. Well, we're on the book of Job. It's good timing to be on the book of Job because the book of Job deals with one of the biggest philosophical, actually it's more theological, because if you're from a philosophy standpoint, without God, then is there really any evil? But if you, from a theological standpoint, if you believe in a God, an all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere, all the time God. Some people add omnibenevolent. When I was a kid going to Christian school and church and stuff, we never said omnibenevolent. But nowadays people say omnibenevolent, which means all good. Which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with saying God is all good. But the problem is, I don't think a lot of people, especially atheists, don't really understand what good and evil is. So when they hear God's all good, but they say, well, he flooded the earth and all these people died. That's not an all good God. So I leave the omnibenevolent out. But if you believe in an omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, or omnipotent God, then the question arises, and this is the biggest atheist, they think it's a defeater. And I think for a lot of Christians, it is a defeater. I think this could be the number one reason that people fall away from God, which I know people are going to call me Calvinist, but I agree on this. I believe in the persistence of the saints, that you, or once saved, always saved. OSAS, OSAS, once saved, always saved. I don't believe you can fall away. Once you see God, once you know God, you can't deny God. You can't fall away from God. You can fall out of the habits of seeking God and trying to live righteously. But you can't be saved and then not be saved later. So for the people that happens to, they were never truly saved. They just thought they were, or they were just Christians in name only, or they were putting on a face. But anyway, a lot of people who fall away from the faith fall away because of this problem that Job addresses, which is the problem of evil, which Frank Turek just did a TPUSA seminar thing on his channel, Cross-Examined, called If God, Why Evil? If God, why evil? If God, why does bad stuff happen? If there's a God, why does bad stuff happen? Some people will rephrase it. They'll say, if God is real, why does bad stuff happen to good people? But basically it just breaks down to if there's this God, why does he let bad stuff happen? And a lot of Christians, somebody in their family will die, or, like you can imagine your husband dies and you say, "Why, God? Why?" And it makes you angry at God and you turn away from him and you say, "I'm not a Christian anymore. I don't believe in God anymore because God wouldn't let my husband or my child, especially a child." They asked an atheist, I think it was Hitchens versus, who was it? It wasn't Turek. It was William Lane Craig, I believe. I think it was William Lane Craig and either Hitchens or Harris. But Craig asked, what would it take to prove to you that God is real? And I can't remember what the atheist said. But then the atheist said, what would it take to prove to you that God isn't real? Or what would it take for you to stop believing in God? And he said, if my kids both died at the same time, or if my kids died, if my kids were killed, that's the one thing that, or I think the question might have been, what would make you question your faith? Or what would make you turn away from God? And the only thing, his answer, which is, this is a common thing, is if my kids died. If your kids die from, God forbid, like a car accident, and you have two kids in the car and they both die and you live, and you're a good Christian, you go to church every week and you pray and all this, and you read your Bible, and you're having a great life. You have a family and you have kids, and you get in a car accident and your kids die. And it's just some crazy random event that happens and the kids die. A lot of people at that point would say, well, God's not real. God's not real because all I did was serve him and my kids died. God's not real. And so this is the problem of evil. And this is what the book of Job is about. Spoiler alert, I did a whole show, or I did like a whole hour segment breaking down actually it was like 2 hours a couple years ago, going through Job. That's not what we're going to do on this stream in this Bible study. It's not really a Bible study. It's just reading the Bible. So we're just going to read it and I'll talk about it. I'm talking about it right now, but really we're just going to read it all. But if you go back and watch the TDC episode I did when I talked about Job, I did more of a breakdown where I went through excerpts and then I explained the story in my own words and then I gave my take on it. But spoiler alert, the question doesn't get answered. So, and this is why I kind of have a problem with the way that a lot of Christians deal with the problem of evil. Now, this is just my opinion. So if you're a Christian and you have your own way of answering the question of the problem of evil, or you've heard William Lane Craig do it, or you've heard Frank Turek do it, or you are an Orthodox and you take the a church father's writings on it, and that comforts you, and you think that's a sufficient or an adequate answer to the problem of evil, then please keep using that. Whatever answer works for you, keep using that. But what I'm going to tell you is that's not biblical. That's philosophical. If you say evil is a privation of good, this will be Frank Turek's argument. Evil is a privation of good. So he'll often say, evil is like rust. So if you have a car with rust on it, the car represents, in this hypothetical, or in this analogy, the car is good, the rust is evil. You can take all the rust out of a car and you have a better car. If you take all the evil away from the good, you have more perfect good. But if you take all the good out of the evil, if you take all the car out of the rust, And he tells this as a joke. He says, what do you have now? You have a Pinto. But that's a joke. But what he's saying is, if you took all the car out of the rust, you couldn't have the rust. The rust needs something to cling to. So they'll say evil is a privation of good. The way I hear Orthodox people say it is they say evil has no ontology. So they're saying evil has no being. It has no essence. It has no being. And I'm fine with that. I agree. Evil has no being. I'm fine with saying evil has no being, but in the same breath, they'll say good does have an ontology. Good does have an essence and a being. They'll say God is good. Evil has no being or no ontology, but good does. And to me, that doesn't make sense if good has being, good is, evil also is. Evil also has a being. So that answer to the problem of evil doesn't really sit well with me. C.S. Eliot, the way he put it, is he said the reason that there's evil is so that we can see, so that we can recognize good. He said, how would we know what a straight line is if we never saw a curved line? If you never saw, how would you know what good is if you never saw evil? And these are all good answers. You can use any one you want to deal with the problem of evil when you're talking to an atheist. But they're gonna come at you with a lot of things that God commanded explicitly in his own words, if the scriptures are correct, which I believe they are. God commanded these things that we colloquially see as evil. God commanded these things. So then you go to divine command theory. You say, well, good is what God says. If God says it, it's good. Even if it seems evil to us, if God says it, it's good. If God says do this, you do it. No questions asked. Anyway, all these answers are all philosophical. They're not biblical. They're not getting these answers from the Bible, because the answer isn't in the Bible. Job asked this same question, and God says, don't worry about it, Job. That's above your pay grade. Why are you're the pot asking what is it? You're the pot asking the potter why he made you this way. You're the clay asking the potter why he shaped you this way. Don't worry about it. You can't even comprehend it. You can't even understand it. Your little 3-pound meat pea brain can't understand the complexities of the universe. Do you hang the stars in the balance? Do you make the eagle eat the fish? No. Do you even know how or why the eagle eats the fish? Because it's hungry? Okay. Infinite regress. Why? Because God said so. That's why. Why do bad things happen to good people? Because God said so. That's it. That's the plan. That's the story. That's the way it goes. And that's the way God answers Job to that question. So all these other answers that Christians come up with to answer this question to atheists, they're doing headcanon. They're coming up with answers to tough questions by relying on their own understanding, instead of just saying, I don't know, because God said so. That's why. Why does evil happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why did Charlie Kirk get shot? Because God said so. That's why. And it sounds harsh. And then people say, well, no, and then what they'll do is they'll jump to free will. But God didn't tell Joe it's because of your free will. To the contrary. To the contrary, God said, you don't have any will in this, Job. Job's going to serve me. And God is talking to Satan. God, or the accuser. It doesn't actually, I think the word used accuser. Oh, it is Satan. Yeah. It's Satan. It's the accuser. In the, what's it called? Anyway, we're about to read it, but God says Job's, and people will say, well, God is gambling with Satan. He's betting. God's not betting. God's not a betting man, because God already knows what the dice is going to roll on. God already knows what the coin flip's going to land on. God already knows what Job's going to do. So he just says, let it happen. Watch what happens. It's part of my plan. In what is it? Is it in Exodus? When they try to kill Joseph, and God said, what they meant for evil, I meant for good. Paul says, the things anyway, I'm getting, but yeah, they'll jump to a bunch of philosophy to answer this question, when really the answer God gives is, don't worry about it. It's none of your business. It's my business. It's not your business. So that's what we're going to get into with Job here. Marilyn is going off in the chat because she's God, so she knows. She knows the truth. Colloquially. What if Marilyn, the God, says it's good, then what? Then absolutely nothing happens. Because Marilyn's not God. That means absolutely nothing. So, whatever, Marilyn. Okay. Let's get into this. The book of Job. Oh, and this is an interesting thing. So, I believe, if I remember right, if my memory serves me correctly, that we don't know the author of Job. A lot of scholars and things like that, Jewish tradition holds that Isaiah wrote Job, the book of Job, but Job takes place way before. Job takes place before Moses, before Noah. Job takes place before Noah, but it's written possibly by Isaiah much, much later. So, and people will get mad at this, Job is not a literal narrative. It's part of it's written in narrative form. I believe, if I remember right, it's the beginning and the end is written in narrative form. And the whole middle chunk is written poetically, if I remember right. But anyway, parts of it are narrative, parts of it are poetic writing, but it's not a literal narrative story of, like, it's not like record keeping. It's more of a tale, it's a legend, it's a story. And so there's a lot of metaphor, and you can take it literal, as in, I'm going to sound like Jordan Peterson now, but it's archetypal. It's an archetype. It's basically just a tale to explain the problem of evil and what happens when bad things happen to good men and they start to question God. They say, why, God, why? Now, if you want to believe that it's a real story, that Job was a real living person and that this all really happened, that's fine. It's very possible it did. I don't know. I'm not going to put it past God to to make this really happen and to show Isaiah it in a vision, and then he writes down the vision and it's really something that happened. But if you're going to be textually critical and understand how the Bible's written, when it's written, who's writing it, and how it's meant to be read, this is a story. This isn't like the Exodus isn't written as a story. It's written as Moses is writing about what happened. This is what happened. Job is not like that. It's possible that no, I don't think so. Never mind. I won't say that. But that's not how you say it, Marcus. I know how to say the word colloquially. And also, I think you spelled it. Oh, no, you did spell it right. I thought it had an I. Yeah, but that second O makes an I sound. Colloquial. Colloquially. Colloquially. Oh, no, I guess you could say colloquial. Some people do say, yeah, I guess it would be colloquially. Colloquially. Yeah. What am I saying colloquially for? You're right, Marcus. My brain is cloudy. Colloquially. I usually say colloquially. But that O that's a hard O. Oh, yeah. It does make an O sound. Colloquially. Why have I been always saying colloquially? Colloquially. That's easier to say too. Anyway, enough of that. Hey Josh, sorry to hear. Hey, dog, hope you're not feeling too bad. Chin up, eh? Yeah, we're getting along. I'll probably do a little RIP Echo stream tomorrow morning. I'm gonna give it a little more time. I don't want to do it yet. I'm trying to stay normal. But anyway, let's read this. We're on Job. Did you just miss my rant about the problem of evil? Shiva, I can read. I thought it had an I and not an O. I thought it was colloquially. Colloquially. Whatever. I'm still going to say colloquially. Just because I don't care. Because I do what I want. You did miss it? You'll have to go back. I gave a whole breakdown of the problem of evil. But now we're going to read about it in Job. And we're going to find out why it's none of our dang business what the answer to this question is. It's above our pay grade. So next time an atheist asks you, why does God let bad things happen to good people? Why does God let evil things happen? Say it's none of your dang business. It's out of your pay grade. Don't worry about it. It has both an I and a O. Two of each. Colloquial. Well, it has one I, two O's. Stop it with the dang grammar test. All right. I know how to speak. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Eschewed? Am I saying that right? And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that his man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus did Job continually. So he's offering just in case his sons sin, because he ain't sinning. Now, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Satan, that's the adversary or the accuser. The Hebrew word there, Satan. Satan is the adversary or the accuser. And the Lord said unto Satan, Satan, "Whence comest thou?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." And the Lord said unto Satan, "Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Doth Job fear God for naught? Does he fear you for nothing? What do you give him everything he wants? He's got money, he's got a nice house, he's got a beautiful family, he's got she-asses running around there. Does he fear you for nothing? He has nothing to fear from you. You don't do nothing to him. Hast not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? You're protecting him, God. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. God said, "Do what you want to him, Satan. I'm not protecting him. Go do what you want to him. See what happens." And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Dang. Dang. When people talk about like the problem of evil, I wonder, well, is a tornado evil? Is a hurricane evil? Is God controlling the hurricane? Who's controlling the hurricane? Because in this story, Satan controls the hurricane. Satan controls the fire of God. Now, I forget if this is before. Never mind. But God and this is why we say Satan has dominion over the earth, because Satan could cause a hurricane. to kill a bunch of people. But God controls Satan. So God just lets him do it. But God already knows what he's going to do. Because God knows the day of our death before we're even born. Before the formation of the world, God knew the day of our death. Or he could have been lying, saying it's from God. So, if Satan has dominion over the world, but God has dominion over Satan, God still has dominion over the world. He's just letting Satan do what he does. And it's not so much a test as it is training, preparation for the battle to come. But Job just lost all his camels, all his she-asses, all his donkeys, all his sheep, and all his children. Now he has 7 sons and 3 daughters. So, spoiler alert. Well, we'll save this. I won't spoil it yet, but it's important to remember the numbers of everything he has. 7 sons, 3 daughters, all the oxen, all the cattle, basically his worth, but not just his monetary worth, his family worth, like the value of his family. And I didn't really debate Teriak. Well, I guess it was kind of a little debate. He came on my stream one time and he was running this theory by me that it's some Gnostic gobbledygook about the demiurge and God. The God of the Old Testament is actually an evil demiurge. It's Gnostic stuff. I've been listening to Against Heresies while I'm at work, the audiobook, and there's 5 books. I'm on the second one, but book 1 is all about Gnosticism in it. I already knew about, like, I've read the Gospel of Thomas on stream before, and we've talked about the demiurge and all that stuff, but I got some more learning on it from listening to was that Ignatius? Ignatius? Who wrote Against Heresies? I think it's Ignatius. I forget. But anyway, he goes more into depth, but he uses a lot of old, like, Greek words that I need to listen to it, or I need to actually read it and highlight stuff that I don't understand so that I can look it up. Because when I'm at work and I'm listening to an audiobook of it, there's all these words that I don't know what they mean. Because it's like Greek or Latin or something. Have you read Tobit? No. I want to read. I need to get a copy of Against Heresies. I'm listening to it, but I want to actually read it so I can study it. So I can't study it while I'm working, but I can listen to it. But and then there's another Schopenhauer book that I want to get about debating. Dude, Schopenhauer seems interesting. He's I quote him in free will debates. I always quote Schopenhauer. Which he was cynical. He was a cynic. He was dark. Very dark and very cynical. But and I'm not a cynic, but he has a book about debating, about how to get better at debating that I want to get. What's it called? That's what I'm going to get next. Where's my lists? It might be in my shopping cart, actually. No, it's not. Lists. Books. The Art of Controversy. That's what I'm going to read next. It's from Schopenhauer. Why did I bring this up? Oh, this and Against Heresies is what I need to get next. How to win arguments, not necessarily by proving the truth, but by employing rhetorical techniques to outmaneuver opponents. He emphasizes the importance of understanding logical fallacies, recognizing different rhetorical tricks, and employing them effectively to undermine opponents' positions. The Art of Controversy from Schopenhauer. Tobit. The Book of Tobit? Oh, I've heard of this. Is this in the Ethiopian Bible? Is this Apocrypha? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm actually and Judith and Maccabees. Yeah. No, I haven't read Tobit, but I'm gonna. In this series, once I finish the Old Testament, we're gonna read all the Apocrypha. So we'll read Judith, we'll read Maccabees, we'll read Tobit. We'll probably read the first book of Enoch. I've already listened to all 5 books of Enoch on stream years ago. But we'll read the first book of Enoch because I think that's the only one that's actually considered canonical in the Orthodox canon. I think the other ones are written by some Buddhist guy. At least that's what I've heard. But we'll read Tobit eventually. I don't know. I haven't got much sleep the last couple days, and I'm tired. A work of Second Temple Jewish literature, testings of the faithful, response of prayer, and his protection of the covenant people. Cool. What's up, Chuck? All right. Chapter 2. So, Job's kids and his animals are all dead and gone. Chapter 2. And then back to back, his servants are running up telling them this. So it's not like, and this is another thing. Job's a good book to read if you ever think you're at rock bottom. And I always say this because if y'all know my past, and if you don't, it's all on the YouTube. But I always say every time I thought I was at rock bottom, I quickly learned that it can get worse. You think you're at rock bottom until you find out you're not, and it gets worse. And then you think you're at rock bottom then, and then it gets worse. And then you think you're at rock bottom then, and it gets worse. So that's what Job just went through. First guy comes, he's like, oh no, not the sheep. And then the next guy comes, oh, you mean the camels? Then the next guy comes, oh, not the she asses. And then the next guy comes, all of my kids? All of them? Well, no, I think the first was his daughters. No. The first is the she asses, the oxen and the asses. Then the sheep, then the camels, then his kids. All right, chapter 2. So, but it's not over yet. Job thinks he's at rock bottom right now. He rents his clothes, tears his mantle, shaves his head. He thinks I'm at rock bottom. It couldn't get worse. But I'm blessed still, God. Thank you. Thank you for this adversity. Rejoice in your struggles. Rejoice in your adversity. Job was the first book I read in the Bible. Then I started from the beginning. Nice. Job's a good one. It's one of those ones. You can see my my book of Job is all marked up. It's like the whole thing is all I have all sorts of notes and stuff in Job. I've gone through Job quite a bit. It's a good one. I don't know if it's a good place to start, but it's well, you know, whatever works for you. But if I was going to tell somebody where to start in the Bible, I don't know. I'd be like, if you want to read it all, start from Genesis. If you're just trying to wet your whistle, probably start at the Gospels. Probably read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Synoptics, and John. Or if you just want to dabble a little bit and get some nice words, maybe just read a proverb every day. I tell people that sometimes. Just read one proverb a day. Stay away from Revelation. don't start looking into Revelation until you've read all the rest. You don't start at the last chapter. I'd recommend that. It'd be like watching The Sixth Sense backwards. You know? It's gonna ruin the whole movie if you find out Bruce Willis was dead at the beginning. But yeah, Job is a good one, especially if people are going through adversity. But then, I don't know, man. Even if you're going through hard times, telling somebody to read Job and they're like looking for answers, they're like, why, God, why? And they get to the end of Job and they find out there is no answer. You don't get an answer. So I don't know. That might not be good, but yeah, Job's a good book. Okay, where was I? Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. So that kind of implies, I think I talked about this years ago. That kind of implies that God did all of this on behalf of Satan. Like Satan said, all right, God, but I don't know. This could be a translation thing, or maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. Saying basically, seems like it's saying God did these things because Satan said, okay, well, kill his kids, kill his animals. Let's see what he does. But earlier, God gives permission. So maybe the giving of permission, the permitting of Satan to do this is what it means by you movest me against him. And Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. So Satan's saying, God. So it does seem like God is doing this because Satan, so God's like proving something to Satan. And this is why people will read this and they'll be like, what kind of cruel God is this? You know? And that's another reason why this is a tale. This is a story. The author, assuming it's Isaiah, which we don't know for sure, but that's the best guess we have from the best guess scholars and theologians and researchers and historians. That's the best guess that we have, is that Isaiah wrote it. But this is a legend that Isaiah is writing. It's a tale. It's to tell a story. And basically the story is bad stuff happens to Job. Job doesn't turn on God. Job asks why. God says, don't worry about it. It's none of your business. So Satan is a bad influence on God. Yeah. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So Satan says, reach forward and touch him. Like, he lost all his stuff, but hurt him. Make him sick. Make him hurt. Make him in pain. So Satan says, God, do that to him and he'll turn on you. But then God says he's in your hand. So is it God doing this or is it Satan doing this? So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job. So Satan's doing this. And smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And this goes back to what I was saying is Satan has the dominion over the earth. But God has dominion over Satan. So Satan can only do what God allows him to do. So when Satan is smiting Job, it's God allowing it to happen. And that's why Satan says, put forth thine hand now and touch his bone. Satan says, God, why don't you hurt him? And God says, okay, do it. So is that Satan acting on behalf of God? I think if you're being rational, you have to say yes. And that sounds bad, but it's above my pay grade. So I don't question it. And I don't try to philosophize. I don't try to illogically logic my way out of it and do mental gymnastics to try to get out of it and explain it away with a bunch of big words in Greek and Latin. I just accept that God, whatever his plan is, his will be done. Even if it seems bad to me, it's not my job to question that. It's not my place. So went forth Satan from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. Could you imagine boils from the sole of your feet? Could you imagine the sole of your feet having boils on them? Dang, that would suck. From the sole of his feet to the top of his head, boils. Dude, festering boils. When they pop, they're gross. Probably on his mouth, on his dang Johnson. Dude, I got poison ivy really bad one time. Twice. I've told this story before. I got poison ivy when I was a kid once. And it was really, really bad. Like I had a crazy allergic reaction to poison ivy. But it was weird because it was only on one half of my body. It's like half of my body, and I swear it was like a line that went down my whole body. And the entire left side of my body was covered in itchy, gross boils. And my eye swelled up. The skin around my eye swelled up, and it was about the size of a golf ball out. And it was in my mouth, and it was on the pepe, everything was swelled up. And it was bad. And we went to the doctor. They gave me some antihistamines or whatever. Took a bath and some oatmeal and stuff, and it went away. But the doctor said he's very, very allergic to poison ivy. You can't let him go near poison ivy. He's super allergic to it. He could die. And I went outside and played again, and I got it really bad again. And similar thing happened, This time it was worse the second time, and my eye swelled up even bigger. It was like a baseball. My whole face swelled up around my eye, and I looked like Two-Face. And the doctor had to stick his thumbs into my skin on my eye and pry it open to make sure that my eyeball wasn't damaged. He's like, your eyeball's fine. It's just all the skin on my face went like, and it was like, bro. It was freaky. And that time it got so bad, I didn't have to get hooked up on an IV, but it was very close. They were saying like I had to stay there for a while, and they had to monitor me, and they had to give me all this like shots and stuff. Um, and they're like, what's it called? Not a tracheotomy, but you can go into, is it anaphylactic shock? Basically they had to keep me there for a long time to make sure my throat didn't swell up because it was getting hard to breathe because all my skin. Now, I think it was hard to breathe because my mouth, I couldn't really open my mouth right, and my nose was all swelled up and pushed to the side. And so it was hard to breathe, but they had to monitor me for like hours to make sure that that I didn't go in, that I didn't, my throat didn't swell up and I didn't die. And they're like, he's deathly allergic to poison ivy. He could die. And then, but I came out of that. That was all right. And then I went out and played in the poison ivy. And guess what? I never got poison ivy again. Now, there's been times in my life when I've been a landscaper and I'll just go into a garden filled with poison ivy and I'll just pick all the poison ivy, rubbing it. I'll take a bath in poison ivy. I'll eat poison ivy. Nothing happens. I'm totally immune to poison ivy. What's the point of this story? The point of this story is allergies aren't real, one. And two, boils from your soles of your feet to the crown of your head would suck. It does suck. It sucks. Intubated. No, I wasn't, but they were worried I might have to be. Yeah, they were worried they might have to do whatever. They were gonna IV. They were worried I was gonna have to be put on an IV. Like I guess like an antihistamine IV or something, because they thought I was gonna go in an anaphylactic shock, but I didn't. But I was close. They thought I was gonna die because it was so bad. That was crazy. But anyway, the real point of that story is just to tell you how that I know from experience how bad it sucks being covered in boils. But the other fun part of that story is that allergies aren't real. So anyway, let's continue. Where were we? And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. A potsherd. I'm guessing that's a potsherd, like a broken pot, like a broken piece of pottery, clay, and he's scratching himself with it from the boils. That's what I was doing with the dang poison ivy, scratching with whatever I could find. Then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. Curse God. His wife, this lady. So if we're Women's History Month next year, we're going to do a based women of the Bible tier list, tier chart. And there's going to be rankings for all the women of the Bible, how based they are. Job's wife, not very based. Job's wife is not based. Job's wife says, curse God and die. Do you still have your integrity, Job? What's your integrity doing for you now? All the kids are dead. We don't got no farm animals anymore. You got boils all over you. I don't even want to look at you. You look gross. Curse God and die. What are you doing, Job? But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. You speak like a foolish woman. Quiet, woman. Don't talk to me like that. You sound foolish. And we know calling somebody a fool or foolish is one of the worst things you could call somebody back then. It'd be like calling somebody I don't know. I don't know. It'd be like calling somebody a Democrat today. It's like getting bit by a wolf and becoming a wolf man. Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. He didn't even sin with his lips. That's how perfect Job was. Because that, and then there's other verses in the Bible that talk about how no man can control the tongue. The tongue is a sword. The tongue is a serpent. Is a snake. Controlling your tongue is one of the toughest things to do. But Job didn't even sin with his lips. And he told his wife, "You sound foolish. Shut up." Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite. There's a funny joke about that. Who's the shortest person in the Bible? You guys know who the shortest person in the Bible is? Bildad the Shuhite. You get it? Bildad the Shuhite. He's only as high as a shoe. You get it? No? No? Anybody? Nobody gets it? Bildad the Shuhite. Get it? Okay. Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. But they're not going to comfort him. They're each going to come at him from 3 different angles to say, it's your fault, Job. You did something wrong. Or they're each going to come with a different approach. And if you watch my breakdown of Job, I went through each of their character and why they approached it a different way. I can't remember all that. That's been years since I went through all this. But go watch that if you want to. Just search Job, JS Urban Adventures Job. Let me see if I can find it. We're on 12. Let me see what I can search and find it. Probably just search on Google. No, it doesn't work if you search it on Google. Yep. If you search JS Urban Adventures Job, it'll be the first one on the list. So it's 3 years ago. It was on Independence Day. So it was 4th of July show from 3 years ago. It'll be the well, I don't know if your algorithm is the same as mine, but it's Dreaded Conservative episode 9. So it was real early in the series of the show. But you can watch that, and I go into more detail on some of this stuff. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Chapter 3. After this opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, ooh, that's a very short verse. And Job spake and said, that's not even a complete sentence. The shortest verse is Jesus wept. But chapter 3, verse 2 is only 5 words, and it's not even a complete sentence. The whole verse is, and Job spake and said. Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man child conceived. I have that underlined, conceived. Child conceived. Wonder why I have that underlined. You'll have to watch the episode 9 of the Dreaded Conservative Show to find out why I underlined that. Let that day be darkened. Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day. Because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breast that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept, then I had been at rest. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or as an hidden untimely birth, I had not been, as infants which never saw light. He's saying, why was I born? Why was I even born? But he's not cursing God. He's not cursing God. He's just saying, why was I born? He's questioning. He's not cursing, he's questioning. He's saying, why was I even born, God? There the wicked cease from troubling, and there be the weary and there the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly, and are glad when they can find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. That's deep. So there's some of the poetry that I was talking about. So these are poetic writings of basically, why did Jesus weep? That's off topic, but he wept because he could see that the people didn't know what they did. The people were blind. He wept because he saw the blindness of the people. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, if we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. If not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways, is this not thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. You reap what you sow. That comes from that verse. And now so I think it's verse 1 through 3 are narrative told like a story, like a tale. You know, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. Once we get to verse 4 through, I believe, 40, it goes into poetry. And this is Now, Job and his friend, and then Job, and then the other friend, and then Job, and then the other friend. And it's the conversation that they're having while Job is suffering. And they're basically they're coming up with different reasons for why this could be happening to Job. And he has to correct them and say, no, that's not the case. One of them says, maybe you sinned a little bit. I know you seem perfect, but maybe you sinned a little bit. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Right. That's what I said. Jesus wept because he saw that the people were blind. By the blast of God they perished, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. The roaring of the lion, and the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men. Fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, shall mortal men be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his maker? Marilyn, listen to this. Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doth not their excellency which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. That's deep. I don't know what all that means, but that's deep. Sometimes you just gotta, it's poetry. Sometimes, if I sit here and try to interpret all that for you, then I'm doing self-interpretation. I could read stuff to you about how to interpret all this, and I have. I've read a lot. I've talked about different interpretations of this in that old show that I did. But something like this, I think it's better just to read it and just sit on it. Pray on it. Don't worry about it. Let it go in one ear and out the other. But there's definitely something there. There's a lot there. But it's not my job to figure it out for you. Chapter 5. Call now, if there be any that will answer thee, and to which of the saints wilt thou turn? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. His children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up, and taketh it even out of the thorns, and the robber swalloweth up their substance. Although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doth trouble spring out of the ground. Yet man is born unto trouble, as the sparks fly upward. I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause, which doeth great things, and unsearchable marvelous things without number. Who giveth rain upon the earth, and sendeth water upon the fields, to set up on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. I don't know what that means. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night. Talking about blind men. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. He woundeth, and his hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. Thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age, like as a shock of corn cometh in his season. Lo, this we have searched it, so it is. Hear it, and know thou it for thy good. So this guy's saying, this is Eliphaz talking, and that one part, where was it? He maketh sore and bindeth up, he woundeth his hands. Happy is the man whom God correcteth, therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. He's saying God's correcting you for something that you did with a lot of words. And Job is going to say, no, there's nothing that I need to be corrected for. I think we'll read one more chapter, because this is Job's answer to Eliphaz. But Job answered and said, oh, that my grief were thoroughly weighed, and my calamity laid in the balances together. He's saying, I wish that this grief was to pay back some wrong that I did. But this is not the scales of justice. I haven't done anything to deserve this. For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore my words are swallowed up. For the arrows of the Almighty are with me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. Doth the wild ass bray when he hath grass? Or loweth the ox over his fodder? Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that my soul refused to touch are as my sorrowful meat. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for, even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort, yea, I would harden myself in sorrow. Let him not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? And what is mine end that I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh of brass? Is not my help in me, and is wisdom driven quiet from me? Quite. Is not my wisdom driven quite from me? To him that is afflicted, pity should be showed from his friend, but he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream of brooks they pass away, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hid. What time they wax warm, they vanish. When it is hot, they are consumed out of their place. The paths of their way are turned aside. They go to nothing and perish. The troops of Timah looked, and companies of Sheba waited for them. They were confounded because they had hoped. They came thither and were ashamed. For now ye are nothing. Ye see my casting down and are afraid. Did I say, bring unto me, or give a reward for me of your substance, or deliver me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from the hand of the mighty? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue, and cause me to understand wherein I have erred. How forcible are right words, but what doth your arguing reprove? Do ye imagine to reprove words and the speeches of one that is desperate, which are as of wind? Yea, ye are overwhelmed the fatherless. Yea, ye overwhelmed the fatherless, and ye dig a pit for your friend. Now therefore be content, look upon me, for it is evident unto you if I lie. Return, I pray you, let it not be iniquity. Yea, return again, my righteousness is in it. Is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things? I'll read chapter 7 because this is still Job talking in chapter 7, and then Bildad talks. So we'll read Bildad's yeah. So Eliphaz says Job must have done something to deserve this, and it's the scales being balanced. Bildad kind of says the same thing in different ways. So I believe Eliphaz is more of a philosopher type. Bildad is more of a judicial type, or an authority type. Bildad basically says this is justice being done, whereas Eliphaz says this is balance. But we'll read Bildad tomorrow, but I'm just going to finish Job. Is there not an appointed time to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of an hireling? As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work. So am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise? And the night be gone. And I am full of tossings to and fro unto the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. My skin is broken and become loathsome. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. The dust is sticking to his open wounds, and there's worms. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle and are spent without hope. Now, that could be metaphorical, but it also sounds kind of literal. But my days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle and are spent without hope. Oh, remember that my life is wind. Mine eyes shall no more see good. The eye of him that hath seen me shall see me no more. Thine eyes are upon me, and I am not. Job is realizing that he's nothing, and that he doesn't decide what's good and evil. Think about that. Think about Adam and Eve weren't supposed to know what good and evil is. Knowing good and evil is a curse. We're not supposed to know good and evil. We're not supposed to judge good and evil. When you do that, you're playing God. As the cloud is consumed and vanisheth away, so he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him any more. Therefore I will not refrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I a sea or a whale that thou settest a watch over me? When I say, my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, then thou scarest me with dreams and terrifies me through visions, so that my soul chooses strangling and death rather than life. I loathe it. I would not live alway. Let me alone, for my days are vanity. What is man that thou shouldest magnify him, and that thou shouldest set thine heart upon him, and that thou shouldest visit him every morning and try him every moment? How long wilt thou not depart from me, nor let me alone till I swallow down my spittle. I have sinned. What shall I do unto thee, O thou preserver of men? Why hast thou set me as a mark against thee, so that I am a burden to myself? And why dost thou not partake? Why dost thou not pardon my transgression and take away mine iniquity? For now shall I sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall not be. Job justifies his complaints. So next is Bildad. We'll read Bildad's arguments for tomorrow. There's 42 chapters in Job. Yeah, we're in the poetry section. So it's going to be a lot of this, and I'm not going to try to break down each one of these verses. I'm sure you could probably find a YouTube video where somebody goes verse by verse and breaks it all down. Maybe someday we could do that. I again, Dreaded Conservative, episode 9, July 4th, 3 years ago. I did that show. And I go a little more into depth about what all this stuff means and who Eliphaz and Bildad and the other guy, who they are, where they're coming from, what they're saying and what it means. I go more into depth in that stuff in that video. But in these streams, we're just reading it, and then I'll do a little commentary, but really for the most part, we're just reading through it all. So we're on chapter 8. Bildad is going to come at Job, and we will read that tomorrow. But I'm going to go now and lay down and get some sleep. And then tomorrow morning, I'll be back. I think we're going to do we'll do a little RIP echo stream. And then we can get all of that out of my system. I don't want to do it today because it's just happened. But maybe I don't know. I just want to, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I got videos with echo in them. A bunch of videos. And I got to get it all out of my, I don't know. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe we'll just do some gaming tomorrow. We'll see, but I don't know. At least talk it out. Talk out the what happened and all that. That's what I do. I talk about stuff. I gotta talk about it. If I don't talk about it, then I'm just gonna stew on it. So I gotta talk about it. But we'll do that tomorrow. Play some video games tomorrow. But today I'm gonna go to lay down, and hopefully I can find this movie I want to watch. Is it out yet? I want to watch The Long Walk. If it's out, hopefully I can find it. I finished watching Dexter Young, whatever, the one where he's young, yesterday, which means I've watched all of Dexter, all the shows, except for like 2 episodes of the newest season or the newest series. But there's some good movies coming out. Smashing Machine with The Rock is going to be, I don't know. I said the new preview, the new trailer, and like some interviews and stuff, and apparently it is going to be a lovey-dovey story. I thought it was going to be more of like an addiction story with a little love story thrown in there, but nah, sees how he's gone. Nah, he died yesterday, Seesaw. But Smashing Machine with The Rock. Hopefully it's not too lovey-dovey and they don't mess it all up. But I want to watch this movie, The Long Walk, which is it's not actually a Stephen King book. It's a Richard Bachman book, which is Richard Bachman is Stephen King's pseudonym. So he wrote Rage, Running Man, Long Walk, either Regulators or he wrote 5 books as Richard Bachman. I think Thinner was Richard Bachman. I think Thinner was Richard Bachman. Rage, Running Man, The Long Walk, and it's either Desperation or the other one that goes with, because Desperation and another book, one is Richard Bachman, one is Stephen King, and it's all the same characters, but it's 2 different stories. And if you buy the 2 softback ones, you put the covers together and it's one big image. Desperation and the Regulators. One of them is Richard Bachman and one of them is Stephen King. Same person, but pseudonym. But anyway, Long Walk is a really interesting story. It's a good idea. Basically, young kids, kind of like the Hunger Games before the Hunger Games. Bunch of young kids. And everybody's poor. It's in a time when like everybody's poor. But when you turn like 18 or 16, I can't remember, you have a shot at winning like $10 million, which is enough to keep you and your family and the next 3 generations of your family living good. So basically you sign up when you turn 16 and you walk down the road until you can't walk anymore. And if you stop walking, you get shot. And the movie just came out, so I want to check that out. Hopefully it'll be pretty good. But yeah, I'll talk about it tomorrow. See Sal. Maybe we'll watch some videos and I get all the talking off my chest about it. But not yet, not today. I need to get some sleep first. So well, it happened yesterday, but it's still soon. I need to get some carpet cleaner. But anyway. All right, guys. That was Job. I'll be back tomorrow morning. But I'm gonna go. God bless everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out. Why is everybody messaging me all of a sudden? They talking about? What they talking about? I bet it's me. Shut up. Our mayor is an idiot. All right, guys. I will talk to you guys later. Love ya. In love with ya. Wow. Wow. Are you a homosexual, Chuck? Is Chuck a homosexual? We just learned the other day Chuck is not a Christian. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that, Chuck. You stick around. You'll be Christian soon enough. You, Goon, Shiva, Freddie. We'll even save Maryland. The power of Christ compels you. See? People wonder why I talk to these atheists and these crazy people. We gotta, what did Charlie say? We gotta make heaven crowded. Shout out. That's what we gotta do. Little by little, inch by inch. By the yard, it's hard. By the inch, what a cinch. Never stare up the stairs, just step up the steps. Little by little, inch by inch. That's a song we used to sing in Christian school or Sunday school or something like that. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Oh, I got 6 people. Is there a channel going with a Trump? We need to do more emojis too. Someday I gotta do that. I keep saying I'm gonna do it and I don't do it. We need more new emojis. We still have a Biden emoji. I gotta get rid of that. We gotta change the emojis up. If anybody knows how to do emojis, make me some cool emojis. For free. I'll send you to the Hake report. We haven't sent you to Hake in a while. Send you to the Hake report. All right. God bless, guys. I'll see you later. We out. What the?